Hello again in this instalment of Spiritual Wisdom. I'm grateful to all of you who follow me here and of this little community here on YouTube. And if you've been here before, welcome back. I hope you're doing well. And if you're new here, welcome. I hope you're doing well. My name is Nicholas and on my channel I talk about witchcraft, Wicca, paganism, self-love, crystals and their magical properties. I also do readings on the channel and I talk about all matter of philosophical and spiritual topics. So if you're interested in those types of things, you know what to do. Please subscribe, join this amazing community. And this is a safe place if you're practicing witch, Wiccan, pagan, or whatever spiritual path you may be on. It's where this is a place where you can ask questions, comment as well. All I ask is you be, respectful and that with your comments or your thoughts, but by and large this is a safe place as well and a place to learn and grow. So I hope you're all doing well, and if today this is a philosophy video where I'm going to be talking about how in life there's always more to learn. Now in life no one knows everything. In life, no matter who you talk to, no one knows everything, and people that claim to know everything or to claim that they're the individual that's got all the answers to whatever it is, these are individuals you should be very wary of, or people that got occult vibes, and being in a cult situation is never good, because a good teacher or a good mentor or someone who really wants to help people, that they would be okay with questions being asked, and they would share their beliefs and values with you or practices they do, but they would allow you to make your own mind up, and they would also encourage you to do your own studying and research. And in life there's always more to learn, and that's the beauty about witchcraft. With witchcraft being a magical practice, there's so many different types of witchcraft and it's wonderful. And then if we go into magic, when it comes to magic, there's so many different types of magic. There's candle magic, there's blood magic, there's planetary magic. Now you don't have to do all different types of magic. You could just experiment with different types and see what type of magic really resonates with you as well, especially when you're starting out as well, learning different types and seeing what practices or magic resonates with you. And when it comes to spirituality or magical practice and things, for the most part, there's very little facts, meaning it all comes down to what you as an individual believe in. It comes down to personal gnosis as well, like your own personal gnosis. And most people's personal gnosis is like someone's personal gnosis is gnosis upon gnosis, meaning yes, some of those beliefs are their own, but some of it will also come from other traditions or practices as well. And then when it comes to tarot, for example, a fact about tarot is there's 78 cards. Another fact about tarot is the cards used to be playing cards. People would use them in games and things like that. But then a lot of occultists or spiritual people were drawn to tarot, and then the cards, the imagery, many spiritual people interpreted the imagery of the cards in a very spiritual way. And and then many spiritual people or spiritualists started using the cards in divinational practices, meaning using them to tell the future, what leads us to where we are now. Now tarot is wonderful because the 78 cards, each card has its traditional meanings, meaning it's got like the magician or the fool card. The fool represents like new experiences, adventure, a journey. And then like the magician card represents confidence, like having all the tools in life you need, having all the resources, or you've got everything inside of you to manifest your dreams and desires. And it can also indicate, so that's the positive side. So a lot of these cards have positive side, then they may have a shadow side. And that doesn't mean bad, just some other aspects. And then when you do readings with cards, it's using your intuition. So as a reader, myself as a tarot card reader, you know what the cards have got, like certain traditional meanings and traditional correspondences, and you pay attention to them. But when you do readings for yourself or a client, you're also using your intuition, because the magician is going to mean different things depending on what the reading's about. If it's a query reading, that means the person has a question. they have a question, and then so you'd go to a reader and you might ask a question. That question could be about your career, it could be about your love life, it could be really anything, and then that psychic reader can do some divination on it, what they think is best to give you the answer you need. A blind reading is where you just go to a psychic and you just want to see what your spirit guides have got to tell you, or what the universe wants to tell you as well. And most of the readings I've done for clients have been blind. I've also done some queer readings. But, even with tarot, you'll never know everything about it. You could study, there's people out there that have studied for 15 years, 15 years, 50 years. People that, wrote books on it, the readers themselves. And that's the great thing, there's always more to learn, but you'll never know everything about a subject. And what that teaches us, what there's always more to learn, is to keep learning. And throughout the journey of life, because life's a beautiful journey, we're constantly learning. And as a child, I had a lot of phases growing up, meaning 1 minute I was interested in something, and then I'd get bored of that thing, and then I'd move on to another interest. Witchcraft for me, or spirituality, started as a phase. Like programs like Harry Potter, Charmed, even Hocus Pocus. I knew they were fantasy, these programs, but then part of me did believe in magic, believed in spell work as a young teenager, and then when I discovered I got books on Wicca and then witchcraft, paganism, I discovered what witchcraft is a real thing. So is Wicca, which is a religion, and then paganism. And because Wicca was the only thing really at the time, well, there's a lot of books on it, and for a time in my life, Wicca felt like the right path, and got nothing wrong with Wicca. I didn't leave it because of any bad reasons. And there's still elements of Wicca in my practice, but as time went on, I just moved away from Wicca, and in my practice now, how I identify as an eclectic pagan witch, and those labels really describe my practice. But as you evolve in your practice and you learn more, because you're always learning, your practice may change over the years, and how you identify with labels, because we as human beings, we've got labels for everything, and we understand the world through labels, through words. So, your practice may change, because some people, they start out with maybe being a pagan druid, or they start in druidry, or they walk the Celtic path, and then as they continue to learn more, they may stick with that path and adapt new practices, or they may change from that practice, honour and respect the practice they're on, but then they just felt this practice is not the right fit anymore, so they move on to another practice. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's so beautiful, and that's what I love about being an eclectic pagan witch, because with paganism, it's an umbrella term, paganism, meaning paganism is an umbrella which describes a variety of different religions and spiritual practices which don't have any Christian, Jewish or Abrahamic influence, you could say. And there's so much to learn. And witchcraft as well, when it comes to witchcraft, it's beautiful. There's so much to learn, so much to study. It can be overwhelming when you're a beginner. I do get that, because when I was a beginner witch, and when I was a beginner, I wanted to learn everything, all that. But that approach wasn't healthy. And then what I'd done as a beginner is I just jumped into hit spells first, but I wish I learned about things like grounding, centering. Though those spells did work and they were quite successful, and it was mainly money spells I'd done, and a lot of them were quite successful, and I discovered that I'm very good at money magic. I'm also very good at protection magic, and that was something else I dabbled in as well. So, and I'm more of a practical learner, so I learn by doing. Now, I do get, even I've said it, when you first start in witchcraft or magic, you don't want to jump head in first doing spells or rituals. But I would say, and I've even said sometimes, if I knew what I knew now, I would change how I approached the craft or how I'd done things. But looking back right now, I wouldn't change how I got into witchcraft or how I done things, because I did learn by reading, by studying, but also by doing. And I think the best way to learn for me is to do things, to do it, And witchcraft is very much a practice. It's very much about practicing, very much about doing. So I do think, and again, when you're a beginner, the best spell to start out with would maybe be like a protection spell, learn protection magic as well. And then you can do more like maybe healing magic or money, and you can build up. And it's one thing though, I was very terrible at, one thing I was very terrible at, but I'm getting better at it now, but something I really wish I did change was recording. Like sometimes I would write down the spells, the witches I'd done, and the results, and I would do it and then I would stop. Like I would do the practice and then I would not record it always. So recording things is something I was really bad at as a teenager. Recording spells and the results. But now, in my practice, I do it a lot better. I record my meditations and I record like spell work I've done. And the great thing about spells, like, I do love science, though I'm not very, I have an interest in science, but I'm not very scientific, and I don't look at the world through a very scientific lens as well. But I would say spells are very much like a scientific experiment, because you've got the practice, the theory, you've got the theory of the spell, then you do the spell, which has got a form or a way of doing things. So it's like an experiment or even a recipe. It's like that, and then once you've done the spell, the working, you record your result. Did it work exactly the way you wanted it to? Did it not? Or that. And in life, there's always more to learn, and that's the great thing about life. And I do think, now you don't have to suffer. I want to put that out. I'll talk about suffering in later videos, but you don't have to suffer in life to be spiritual or to become wise or that. But I do think, regardless, we all do suffer in some way or capacity. But what helps us, and all of us, because I've worked with Goddess Hecate, at one point in my life, I was a lost soul. I didn't always love myself. I wasn't always confident. I didn't realise my full potential with that. But because I was a very curious teenager and a very curious child, and that curiosity, I would say, was a thirst for knowledge. Even when I was very young as a teenager, I had a deep thirst for knowledge. And I think if you've got a deep curiosity, a deep thirst for knowledge, and I know many witches, but I've met many people are like me, who are very spiritual, or people who are practitioners like me, they've got a deep thirst for knowledge, a deep thirst for learning, and they love to learn. And growing up, I know most children don't like school, and of course when I first went to my school, I wasn't the ideal student, if you could say. I wasn't an angel, and angels are not all kind and nice anyway, they're warriors. But I was no angel to start with. I got into a lot of trouble. I was a very challenging student. I done things I shouldn't have done. But eventually, because I got expelled from, doing something, expelled, when I went back, I was, to put it this way, I followed the rules and behaved. But I did, I loved school and I loved learning. Though I was dyslexic and I struggled with reading and writing, I still do. I do love to learn, and something I do have is I've got very good memory skills. So if someone tells me something right now, I'll remember it in 2 years' time or 3 years' time. So I've got a very good memory as well. And knowledge, I feel, is the one thing that helps you break free in life. Because like when it came to self-love, I didn't understand the importance of self-love or how important it is to love yourself. But when I got into like learning about witchcraft, learning about Wicca, and learning about spirituality, I came across self-love and I was very interested in it and I started studying it. And then, and I've talked a lot about it on the channel, how important self-love is, how it helps you become the best version of you, and how it helps you empower your life. So, and when it comes to self-love, it's a journey, process. There's always more to learn. And when it comes to witchcraft, Wicca, paganism, what I love about it is there's always more to learn. You'll never know everything about it. And that's what I love as well. And a lot of things growing up for me started out as a phase. And then once I got bored and fed up with it, I threw it away. But when it came to like witchcraft and paganism and Wicca, and a lot of other spiritual practices, I knew that there was so much knowledge about these subjects. And even now, I'm 27, so I'm still young. I've got a lot of knowledge under my belt, but I'm still learning. And when it comes to tarot and many other magic and spiritual things, I've got a lot of knowledge. And I share that knowledge here with you to help those of you on your journey. And sometimes in life, because when I first started out, like, there are many people I watched before I even thought about making a YouTube channel. I'm just going to leave it here. Before I even thought about making a YouTube channel, there was lots of people I watched that were practitioners, or they're very spiritual, what inspired me, but they gave me food for thought. Because sometimes in life you think very negatively, and I was not always a positive thinker. That's something I learned, to think more positive or to look at something. So changing your mindset, the way you think about something, because a lot of us have been programmed by society to think a certain way, but only keeps us down. It only keeps us down, it only keeps us stuck. Like, society tells you need validation, or we feel this need for validation. That is the first chain we get in life, and that keeps us stuck, that keeps us down. Also, the feeling that you need approval. I think society also teaches us that in some way or capacity. We're very observant as human beings, so we pick up this energy. We need approval from people, but we don't need approval. And then I used to care a lot what other people think. I don't now. I don't care what other people think of me now, but I used to care a lot about what other people thought about me. And the caring what other people think also keeps you stuck. But knowledge, meaning when you've got the knowledge, you start to see the world differently. And once you change your mindset, the way you think about something, the way you see something, that will change your world for the better. And there's always more to learn. So my message here is, there's always more to learn. You'll never know everything about a subject. So, put your heart and soul and curiosity into subjects you're interested in, and learn as much as you can, and keep learning about them, because there's always more to learn. And remember that knowledge is power, and knowledge will help you grow and heal, and also knowledge will help you change your world, change your life, and help your world become much better as well. As always, I hope this video brings you some guidance, some comfort, and as always, giving you food for thought as well, and just having a nice chat with you about my life, my experiences, but also, if you've got any questions or your thoughts, or you'd like to tell me your story, please comment down below as well. Till next time, stay safe, look after yourself, walk your spiritual path with pride, and if you're a part so much that may stay with you, may meet, may part, meet again, blessed be.